a fancy background. I need more monitors in here.
Oh,
I was
this is
telling
my
Tim we can
this is
switch to
my
Zoom.
lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last podcast we did, I did the Bat Cave because we were doing Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
So I mean, yeah, I mean you look fine, I guess. I mean, it's just a white background.
Right.
All right, let's what did you just put on? Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat.
All right, let's do this. Let's knock it out. You ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, cool. Yeah, we got Brent White, Tim Roberts from We Hack People on the show today. Super excited because I've known Brent for I guess it's about 3 years now.
Yeah.
We
I'm
met
sorry.
we met in the airport after GurCon. You were doing, I guess you were working for Trusted Sec at that time, and you did a conference there or something or a presentation.
Yeah, Tim and I presented there.
Oh, okay, so Tim was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw you at the airport and you were wearing a Trusted Sec hoodie. I was like, I gotta talk to this guy. And then like we went and like hung out, like had some beers, or you had some beers, and yeah, we've been kind of staying in touch ever since. So yeah,
Yeah,
welcome.
we had the same layover back to Nashville together too. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it turns out you live in Nashville, but you work for
Mhm.
Trusted Sec. So that was kind of cool, man. But yeah, I just met Tim just about 15 minutes ago. Tim Roberts. Thanks for joining the show. Yeah, it's been great. So we've been getting to know each other. So I want to get a quick history of, what you guys do at We Hack People. You work for NTT. So Brent, I'm going to kick it over to you and just give a brief rundown as to what you and Tim do.
Sure. So the website wehackpeople.com, that's just more of like a personal blog of our research or war stories, things like that. But what we do pen testing across the board, network, wireless. But our bread and butter, what we really specialize in is social engineering and mostly physical assessments, specifically covert entry.
Yeah, cool. So, and you guys do a lot of talks at conferences. You guys are just all over the place. I mean, there's a lot of information on wehackpeople.com or wehackpeople.wordpress.com, and you guys are just all over the place. So Tim, tell me about what you do over there at We Hack People and NTT.
Well, Brent and I both are in charge of the physical security and social engineering methodologies. So we pretty much do handle most of those engagements. So anything from covert and overt walkthroughs. So that's what we specialize in. However, our team, threat services team, deal with anything from, like Brent was saying, anything from application to network to wireless. So it's kind of across the board for NTT. The wehackpeople.com site is our personal site. So that's where we keep all of our talks. So if you're interested in listening to any of our talks or anything like that, we have several links on that. And most of our talks focus or the emphasis on covert physical security engagements and social engineering.
Yeah, so I was actually watching one of your talks, Brent. You sent it to me because I was working at a company doing physical security, like access control and surveillance. So you sent me a video of I think it was you and Tim just kind of going around showing some cool little hacks that you can do on like motion, like request to exit. You were spraying the I think it was like a compressed air to get entry to a building. Yeah. So yeah, what was that? So what else was that video highlighting around the physical security side of things?
I think that particular talk, we show the common tools that we use and the most basic ways that we are able to gain entry. And, I think we also highlight different things such as lock picking, badge cloning, and basically just kind of the main ways that we gain entry.
Sure. So you do information security pen testing, physical security pen testing, and we talked about like the challenges of those where it's changing constantly. So Tim, like how do you keep up with those changes in the industry? Are you just constantly like reading stuff on the internet like all of us are doing?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we got a pretty solid team with threat services at NTT that does a lot of knowledge sharing. So I think keeping up that way, and then Brent and I speak at a lot of conventions. So going to these conferences and conventions, and listening to other talks and new new attack vectors, new exploits, and then just staying pretty up to date, as far as just looking online at a few different resources and stuff to keep information going.
Yeah. So how are you guys handling the current situation where I'm sure there's a lot of conferences you may have been booked for that got canceled? You just kind of just hunkering down and just getting on Zoom meetings all day long like everybody else?
We've had quite a bit more meetings. It seems like, you always sort of hear the joke, meetings that could have been an email. We should have been receiving way more emails lately, but I think because of the social distancing, people want to try to make it feel as normal as possible and doing the face-to-face, camera-to-camera thing. So, yeah, we have been on quite a few more of those. And some of the conferences too have been really cool about rescheduling to later in the year, and hopefully by that time, September timeframe, we'll be back to normal, whatever that is.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for summertime, because I had to cancel some stuff as well, and yeah, we got to get back on the path. I can't be sitting in here for 20 hours every day in my bedroom. It's just not sustainable.
It's tough.
Yep. So with going on these engagements, physical security, doing some pen testing, I want to hear about, Brent, you first. I want to hear about something that's happened on an engagement that just kind of, maybe didn't go so well on the physical side.
Well, okay. So there was a particular assessment that I had prepped a lot for. It's a pretty high secure place. But what I was not aware of was that this building on the bottom floor, they had rented out some of the space to other tenants. So I gained access to the main building, and I was on this bottom floor, and I saw a door that I knew I could shim open, because one of the main doors was glass, badge reader. I'd just gotten in. There were people looking through the glass at their desks. I didn't want to be too suspicious. So I got in through the side door, which was an office. So as soon as I got in there, I locked the doors, the external and the internal door, so nobody could come in. And somebody had just gotten up and walked out. So I didn't have much time. So I plug in my laptop, I start banging away on their network, and as I start enumerating their users in the domain information, I realized it was a completely different domain and username structure than the client I was supposed to attack. So I unplugged my computer, I unlocked the door, and I started walking through this office area. And then I see this big logo up on the wall, and it was the wrong client. It was the wrong place. So I had the oh crap moment. So I went back out of the door that I came back in and unlocked everything, and then realized that little half of that building belonged to the wrong client. And so I was not made aware of that, so I had to figure it out on my own. So that was interesting. Here I was like, all right, this was quick. I got on their network fast.
Wow.
And
yeah. So what do you do when you get caught in a situation like that? Like, can you even use your get out of jail free card in a case like that, or you're just like, oops?
Well, and since I did access their network, I hadn't exploited anything. I was just doing basic enumeration.
Yeah.
You can let them know, hey, here's what was going on, made a mistake. Here's all the info I have. Sorry, we can figure it out if you want.
Yeah.
Or if it's a case where no one even noticed, and I'm not a lawyer, so don't follow this advice at all. If you happen to walk in the wrong door and you poke your head around and you don't disturb or do anything, and you can just sort of go back into the shadows and no one knows, then, no one knows. So.
Right. So yeah, Tim, you mentioned that you had a locked out account situation. What happened during this particular scenario?
Yeah, so I had enumerated a bunch of users, and I was trying to do some brute forcing, and then I had set the threshold to three attempts per user. But before I'd done that, the client had told me that it was 5 attempts and then lockout. It wasn't. It was 3. So, yeah. So that locked out several accounts, and then their AD admin was just losing it, and so I helped them reset those accounts like in bulk. But that's when I was first started. That happened. So we've definitely learned to ask a lot of questions during the kickoff call just to make sure we're good to go. Even in the shared space and stuff.
Did you happen to reset all their passwords, the accounts to like password 123?
No, it was. I think it was like winter 2001.
Oh, even better.
So in a case like that, to do a bulk reset, what tool would you use? Like PowerShell to accomplish that?
Yeah, they actually had a feature in Active Directory that let them reset it when I showed them. So
okay, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Maybe it was.
I mean, he thought it was going to be a worse deal than it was, but it wasn't too bad.
He was pissed, wasn't he? That's always fun. So Tim, you keep on bringing up, networking in the community and, all the knowledge sharing, talking at conferences. How has that helped you build your career and stay, in the know, and then really stay connected with other people?
I think, a lot of people think, well, to learn stuff, you just read a lot of white papers and books and everything, or Reddit. But truthfully, I think I've learned the bulk of what I know from friends that I've made in the community. So going to conventions, networking with other pen testers, other speakers especially. And then also it's a good way for people to get their foot in the door as far as other companies, kind of seeing what other companies are out there, what other positions are available. Those opportunities are always great, especially if you're coming in new. So.
Yeah. So I keep on looking over at Brent White's screen. He's got Mortal Kombat in the background. It's like super distracting for everybody that's listening.
Up there.
Hey, I may or may not have ADD, so anytime that I can sort of poke fun at that, in ways like this.
Yeah, it keeps on flashing. Insert coin. It's triggering me right now.
Let me put a coin in.
Yeah, please do. Appease me. Thank you. Yeah. So Brent, presenting at conferences has been pretty beneficial for you. Like what conferences are your big, bread and butter conferences, I guess, and like how do you benefit from them?
Well, you have conferences like Black Hat and DEF CON, obviously, that as far as a marketing perspective, if that helps. And then I would say, honestly, the conferences that have helped the most, Black Hat and DEF CON are great. They definitely have their things that are incredible. But as far as networking and really building friendships and things, I would say the smaller conferences like NOLACon, DerbyCon when it was going, rest in peace, DerbyCon, and like certain B-sides, because you start to see familiar faces. They're guys I keep in touch with more from conferences because we become friends than most other places. And it's a good way to build friendships. Also from that, you can info share. And then when you do go to a conference, you're not, a wallflower and feeling just totally out of place because you've got people there that you know. So,
yeah, for sure.
Did I answer that question? Because sometimes I just ramble. So
you did. I was partially paying attention, but it sounded really good.
Okay, I was partially paying attention too. So
I zoned out. What did you say?
You mentioned DerbyCon, and my mind started racing because we're doing the DerbyCon community Nashville,
Right.
and I don't know if you want to get involved with that at all, but we're trying to help out with some of the conferences here, like B-Sides as well as Music City Con. So that's an effort to keep the DerbyCon community alive.
Yeah. So with DEF CON too, there's also the DEF CON groups, and I was able to get the Nashville DEF CON group going, I think probably 3 or 4 years now, and it's still going strong. I'm not able to really be involved in it anymore because I've traveled so much. But there's a great group of guys, again, many of whom I met through conferences,
right,
that have kind of taken that over, and it's just growing and growing. So that's super cool to see. But yeah, the DerbyCon groups would definitely be another option to that as well.
Yeah, we don't want to dilute it too much around here. But I know a lot of the guys over there at the DEF CON one that you started, it's still pretty active in Slack, and I think they're splitting it up into 2 different groups for some reason, like one North and one South Nashville.
Yeah, so one of the issues we had was, Nashville's so big, and especially with its growth, the traffic has become, as you know, pretty awful.
Right.
So what used to take 20 minutes to get somewhere now could take, double that easily at any given time. And so it was just really tough for guys that live in South Nashville or work South Nashville to even just get to middle of downtown, which is basically where we were meeting. And so it makes a lot of sense for the guys that live in South Nashville to meet closer to there. And then those of us that are north of the city, we can also meet. And as far as traffic goes, that works out way better instead of actually trying to go into the city or leaving. So
yeah, it makes sense. If you're getting off work and the meeting's at 6 p.m., it's just not feasible for people coming. Yeah. Cool. Yep. So Tim, I want to check out your everyday carry. It looks like you have a cell phone case with your lock picking tools in it.
Yeah, I've got a few tools in my wallet as well, like the Hall Pass by Sparrows and things that I kind of keep with me all the time, and a plastic shim. I know Brent uses that quite a bit as well. But in my phone case, I keep just a few tools, lock picks, and then some shims in there. So, I don't like to have a whole bunch of things on me.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of what I do. It's like I just got like a Bogota, and then the single hook, and then a tensioner, and some shims, and then in my wallet I carry the Hall Pass, and then a plastic shim.
Do you have any problems with TSA with that apparatus you have there?
No, and I think it's important too that you understand as a pen tester, anybody that even as a hobbyist. With the lockpicks, understanding lockpick laws, because a lot of times TSA agents don't know those. Our friend Deviant, Olam, carries a kind of an approved list of things, like the standards that you can show the TSA agents if they give you any flack. But no, I really haven't gotten any issues. When I first started, I had a few issues because I carried way too many lockpicks and tools and Shrum tools and bump hammers and things like that in my bag, my carry-on, which isn't really necessary. But I never have any problems with my everyday carry stuff.
Yeah. So for the people that are listening, Tim has a cell phone case with all of his lock picking tools. And what was the other one? You said the Sparrow.
The Hall Pass. Yeah, it's a shove knife basically. It's the shape of a credit card, and it's like a little shove knife. Brent, do you have one of those handy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have my wallet on me.
I do.
Yeah, I keep that. Which I don't. We don't really use the shove knife as often anymore. We use what's called a Shrum tool. It's a little hook, and that's a little bit handier, and you can get in smaller spaces a little bit more.
Gotcha. Getting some feedback from somebody. I'm not sure who that's from, but yeah. So Brent, let's do some show and tell. I want to look at your everyday carries, if you don't
Okay.
mind. Yeah. So what
Yeah,
do you
I
got
will
for me?
start off. My everyday carry, obviously, I always have a knife. My favorite is this covert knife from Gerber. The reason I love it, the profile, and mostly because the buckle is at the top. So when it's in your pocket or wherever, it's not sticking out a whole lot, but it's pretty flush to your pocket. It's very easy, one hand open. So, it's quick and it's, just single hand use. Good knife. This is kind of a pretty tactical, device, but I really like this a whole lot. This Smith & Wesson pen. It's very sturdy. If you need to break glass to get out of a vehicle or something, or self-defense tool mostly. But it also actually is a pen. So, so those two things. Another thing, since I do fly a lot, as a guy, I always think, okay, if something goes bad, how can I jump in and help and be the hero or whatever? So I have this bracelet. It's called a hand cop, and it's basically a set of restraints that if I ever have to intervene or whatever and help hold someone down, I can slip these around them and restrain them, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably won't ever use it, but it's kind of cool.
Do you know jujitsu or any martial arts where you can?
I know some. Yeah. I also like to box a lot too. So
don't get into a fight with Brent. Duly noted.
I would hug you. I would hug you to death.
Okay. Social distancing.
Yes, yeah, social distancing. I'll hug you from 6 feet. Sorry. Anyway, so my main thing, and there's actually a blog post, a full breakdown of this on wehackpeople.com. This is my everyday carry wallet, and I go. I keep this in my pocket. I go through into concerts everywhere. Metal detectors, everything. And I'll show you how, why that works. But if you're looking at this wallet, if you just sort of peer down into it, it's going to pass visual inspection because people are cars. Usually I have some cash right here, but I'm broke. So, So what's in here, as Tim mentioned, the plastic shim. Usually, again, this is hidden by money, but this is my plastic shim for latch slipping. I use this more than any other tool. You can see it's pretty, I keep trimming it just to keep it. Also attached to this, I have a few different layers of gaffer tape. And gaffer tape is really good for certain bypasses or maintaining access against, magnetic locks or other things. And it doesn't leave hardly any residue at all. So there's that. And then in this first pocket here, and by the way, if you can't see this, this is a very slim, it's called a traveler's wallet, and it's made to fit in your front pocket to help prevent pickpockets. So if you can't see, it's a very thin wallet. So I just pulled out some cards, but behind this card, I have the Sparrow's Hall Pass Tim was talking about. And it is metal, but in a second, I will explain how I still get through metal detectors and things with it. In this other pocket, I carry a blank CAT card for instances where I might have to access a system that requires a CAT card or low frequency if I need to clone a badge. I have this little covert pick set, and I also have the quick stick decoder and a shim in there. Will get me through most locks. And also have this business card from Drew Porter at Red Mesa, He's one of the trainers at Red Team Alliance, and it's the same. It's really cool. It's the same material basically as my plastic shim. So if I'm in a pinch, if I need something else, I have his business card to use. Let's see. I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Do you have there's another card that we carry on us. I don't have it on me, but it's it'll tell you whether or not a badge rater is low frequency or high frequency. It's by Dangerous Things. It's pretty cool. It's the size of a credit card, and on the top right, it'll have like these lights. In the top left, it'll have a light. So you just scan it in front of a badge rater, and then it'll blink and let you know what it is. That way, if you do clone a badge, you can, flash your prox mark or whatever to the appropriate frequency.
I thought I had that. It's over in what my wife calls my serial killer closet. I can take you over there and show you if you'd like to see it. I'm still putting it together. You want to see it?
I kind of do, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
You piqued my interest for sure.
That's the name, right?
Yeah, exactly. But your wife dubbed it the serial killer closet.
Yeah. So let me turn the light on.
This is amazing. What am I looking at here?
So this is a lot of tools. You see some disguises, things like that.
Yeah.
Soldering iron for hardware projects. So let's see here.
So you're doing a lot of you're getting dressed up and kind of masquerading as like a worker or something. I see some high vis stuff over there. So you just kind of
yeah. Sometimes we need to really look the part. So let me see. I'm trying to think of where that.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, like a lot of times when we do these covert assessments, we'll have to have like several guises, from the reconnaissance phase to the actual compromise. So that's why we have a lot of these, like either construction worker outfits or surveyor or, security guard, anything like that.
Right. Yeah. I've seen pictures of you, Brent. You post them and you're kind of dressed up as an old man with a coffee cup. And I'm assuming like that's where your skimmer or your card reader kind of cloner thing is located typically.
Yeah. We put those in all sorts of different things. So that's the cool thing about the small prox marks is they go pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool. That's like probably one of the most fun jobs I've ever heard of. Just like dressing up and breaking into stuff.
It's pretty fun. We like it a lot. Oh, yes. This is the canned air.
Yeah, so you can bypass a request or a motion detector with that, can't you?
If it's not properly configured, you can do that. So a lot of doors, request for exit will be way too close to the door, and then they'll have it so that it unlocks the door. So with the canned air, it both has temperature fluctuation and then the density to trip both motion and temperature variant readers. So if you stick it under the door, when those bittermints rise, it'll trip that and then open it from the other side for improperly implemented system.
You are the first person that I see in this closet, by the way. So this is a low voltage nation exclusive, if you will.
Oh wow! The viewers and listeners are honored. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been sort of rearranging things in here, so I'm not exactly sure where that card is. As you can see, we have a lot of gear. We have a lot of different things that we sort of sort through. And so for me, it helps to see it visually when I'm loading out to go do a job. I can see what I need, grab it, throw it in a bag and go. So I apologize. I'm not able to find that at the moment.
So yeah, let's talk about productivity tools. I want to kick it over to Tim, and I'm not sure if that's your dry erase board behind you, but you said one of your productivity tools is actually just the dry erase board.
I use a dry erase board quite a bit, but also, Brennan mentioned using, in calendar notifications and stuff in Outlook. just as daily reminders. But I use KeepNote a lot. It's a pretty cool little tool that helps you organize things. I especially use that when I'm doing projects to kind of keep me on track as my findings and scope and such. But yeah, for the most part, I use my dry erase board. I will not show that to you because it's got some client stuff on it. But
Right.
yeah, I use my dry erase board, Outlook, and KeepNote quite a bit.
Yep. So Brent, you mentioned that you draft an email and then you just put calendar invites. Like, I'm really curious how you stay organized, because like you do a lot. As far as I can tell, you're like traveling quite a bit. You're just doing all these different engagements. Like, how do you stay organized?
So if I know that if something is due by a certain time, I'll set a calendar reminder. So I have my calendar. I probably put more time into it than what I should, but for my brain, it works.
Right.
So I have things color coded. If it's a personal thing I need to do, it has a color. If it's a phone call, it's red. If it's a deadline for a client deliverable, it has a certain color. Travel has a color. So for me, just kind of visually, I can quickly look at it and see what my day looks like. And then as something comes down the pipeline, I mentioned the draft email. So I have that split up. So I have at the top, I have a column for ASAP, like get this done right away. Then I have it broken down into what am I doing today, and then this week, and then there's things to do eventually. And as I think of something I need to do, or as something comes down that needs to be done, I will say, okay, is this due immediately, sometime today, sometime this week, or eventually? And so that just really helps me. It helps me to do a brain dump. Otherwise, I'm really bad at keeping things organized in my head. And if I try to do that, I'll forget stuff, and then it also stresses me out, and I don't like to be stressed.
Yeah. I admire you quite a bit for your organizational skills, as evidenced by your serial killer closet. I mean, I think you're like super, super organized in there. And then, your digital world is organized too. So I need to like take some pages out of your book, because I am not organized whatsoever.
Hey, come up and hang out. When all this craziness is over, you're welcome to come hang out.
Heck yeah, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think it would be cool.
Yep, for sure. So what's a piece of advice, Tim, that you would give somebody maybe taking like a similar path? Let's say they're kind of a noob in physical security and penetration testing.
Well, one of the main things I think, just getting into pen testing in general, is networking, going to conventions, networking with the community, meet people. Like there's a lot of great, knowledgeable people out there, and it'll help you get your foot in the door for different pen testing firms and such. As far as getting into physical security pen testing and social engineering, one of the things that Brent and I get asked quite a bit during our talks or after our talks is, hey, I'm really good at social engineering. I'm good at improv. I'm good at this and that. I would be great with this. And then we ask them, what's your technical skills set? How is that? And it's usually none. It's just, I'm good at talking. I'm good at lying to people. Okay, well, that's great. But, pen testing is more than that. And when you get to doing physical security penetration testing or social engineering, even if it's like phishing and on-site stuff, it's important to have a technical background, because you got to be a generalist before you can specialize. You don't just jump into a role where you're already automatically a subject matter expert. So you kind of have to build up to that. There are some companies out there that do just physical penetration testing, but even with that, there is somewhat of an expectation, because when Brent and I get into a facility or into a data center, we're not just, sometimes a client will just want us to test their physical access controls or their electronic access controls, but oftentimes it's in conjunction with like a red team. So we go in there and we compromise the facility. Now we got to plug in a Dropbox, or we've got to get onto the network. You don't want to get stuck and not know what you're doing there. So I guess in short, networking, become a generalist, have a general understanding of your technical hacking stuff, and then you can specialize.
Cool. Yep. So Brent, you mentioned that time management is of paramount importance.
yeah, it's huge. Obviously, you can just some of the advice about just sort of planning out, because as consultants, you have your project to do, you have a report to write, you have meetings, you have you have a lot to do, and if you don't manage that, you're going to quickly become overwhelmed and get behind. So as quick as things move in this industry, you have to get a handle on your time management.
Right. Especially with all the travel too. Like that'll
Yeah.
take up a lot of your time just traveling alone. And then doing all the things, when you get on site, it's you got to
Right.
compress a lot of stuff in a small amount of time.
Well, and also, when we aren't traveling, we work from home. So if you aren't self-motivated or
Right.
staying on top of things, then, you can really hurt yourself then too, if you just sit around and eat potato chips all day and you don't get your work done. So
Yeah. So are you waking up early and like getting a workout in first thing? Like how do you get pumped up in the
I'm not a
morning?
morning workout person.
Yeah.
This is morning and it sucks. I'm going to drink 4 pots of coffee. I usually try and use my lunch break to go work out. So
Okay, good. So you're getting it somehow, some exercise.
I try. Yeah.
Good. Good. Cool. Well, it's been great, guys. We can find your stuff at We Hack People. That's your central hub for all of your blog posts. There's some really good stuff around the stuff we talked about. Your everyday carry wallet. I'm looking at it right now. That's pretty cool. And it also has your speaking engagements. A lot of cool resources on wehackpeople.com. Is there anything else you guys want to share or any closing remarks before we go?
Yeah. I mean, if anybody has any questions about, anything we've discussed today, then our contact info is on there, or you can reach out to us on Twitter as well. And we're more than happy to chat and answer any questions.
What's your Twitter handle?
Mine is Brent W Design. I started as a graphic designer, so that's where that came from.
Just kept it. That's cool.
And
Brent W Design. And then what about you, Tim?
mine's Zanchin Hacks, so it's ZANSHIN H4X. But you can look at wehackpeople.com and it's got our Twitter handles on that.
Okay,
so it'll be
good.
a little easier.
Good. Yeah, it's easier. Cool. Well, all right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's going to be a beautiful day today. So thanks so much for getting on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yep. Take care.
Yes.
Bye.
All right, bye.